Hello, hello, hello. It's episode 60, everyone. How are we doing today?
It's like a jump scare. It's not Chase, it's me.
Yeah, it's good though. How are you guys?
You know what? Hey, Bob, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I got to tell you, whenever I do a podcast, I think it's the professional thing to watch an episode and get a sense of what the podcast is all about, what the sort of concept is. And so,
please tell me you didn't watch last week.
I totally haven't. I watched last week's episode, so I get basically what it is. We all jump in and roast Molly about what she's wearing, and great concept for a podcast. It's fantastic.
I think it's a great idea.
Oh my god, Bob, I love that so much. You know what? That actually is. So let's start with Molly. What are we doing with the sunglasses? What character are we dressed up as today?
Well, they're regular glasses. Don't you have a PhD? I was going to say, aren't you the doctor?
I am the doctor, but it's a struggle.
This look is called I've been decorating for Christmas. I've been working and editing videos, and I didn't have the time to get ready and didn't feel like it, so I didn't.
Oh, so Bob's not good enough for you to get ready.
Bob got Molly, like makeup Molly, in Partho, but late to the mic. I'm not even supposed to be the real host, so.
So this is more like homeless Pippi Longstocking Molly.
Yes, exactly.
Homeless Pippi Longstocking. Thank you, Bob.
That's a deep cut. You've got to be old to know who Pippi Longstocking is.
No, I'm right there. I clock
quality content. Bob, she was just talking about decorating for Christmas. Are you an individual that believes that Christmas is a holiday or a season?
Oh, I haven't really thought of that before, but I gotta say season.
My god!
But here's the thing: but that doesn't mean that I start super early.
I do.
It just means that I don't really care about the actual day. It's a whole thing. I go home. I go up north. I go home for the holidays. I'm there for a couple weeks. That's like a whole entire season for me. But I'm not decorating. Like I'm not doing anything. I mean, I might decorate a little bit for a video for the green room, but.
I start decorating November 1st.
She does.
I have my Christmas tree up right now. I haven't decorated it. I just put it up so we could get the giant bag out of the floor that was holding it. But it's up in my living room right now.
Bob, I asked her one day. I was like, so what about Thanksgiving? Because she was telling me she started talking about Christmas in September, and I was like, what about Thanksgiving? We gotta let it breathe. And she's like, Patrick, Thanksgiving is a holiday. Christmas is a season.
No, I didn't say I love Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a great holiday, but it's just a holiday. It's just the day. But Christmas is a full season that I need to enjoy longer than the month of December. It deserves more than that.
I totally understand what your question is now. Yeah. It is. I mean, for me, it's more than just the day because I go home for an extended period. But for me, I would say Halloween is a bigger holiday for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you, now, do you get all dressed up for Halloween? Do you go all in?
I did my live stream dressed up.
Okay.
I have costuming, so I can usually put together something.
Turns out that's part of the career path you chose.
Part of the thing, yeah.
Yeah, minor details. Now, have you ever, while we're just on the costume path, have you ever had to get into a low budget costume equal to the Elmo of last week?
Not that low budget. Not that low budget.
Okay.
But I have had makeup that probably was difficult to wash off. I don't know how hard that was to get.
I would love to update everybody on this. Bob, thank you so much for bringing that up. That came off perfect. There was no issue whatsoever. It was my normal makeup remover, washed my face. There was no staining, nothing. I am a professional, ladies and gentlemen, a professional.
Well done, Molly.
Thank you.
It was just a great outfit altogether.
Thank you.
I don't even remember. I mean, I just remember what it looked like, and I know, women. It seems like, especially younger women, try to be sexy something, like sexy nurse or sexy vampire, or whatever. I don't remember what you were going for, but I'm guessing sexy hemorrhoid or hemorrhoid?
It was Nightmare Elmo.
Oh, Nightmare Elmo. Okay, all right. I was
but
way
sexy
off.
hemorrhoid actually sounds pretty accurate to what we got.
That adds up. I think I said this to my parents too because we were talking about it because they were like, you were so funny. I was laughing so hard. This was perfect. And thank you, mom and dad. But when I was talking to them about it, I think I'm at the point now where that like kind of costume, like the sexy costumes, or like even just like being cute. I think I'm at the point now where I want to just wear a bald cap. I want to do something like I want to get like a fake beard. Like I'm going for the sillies only now. Like I think
you are 24 years old. You are not old enough to just give up on life. What are you doing?
Giving up on life. If I want to put on a bald cap next year, I'm already coming up with ideas. There's a lot coming through here. George Costanza, thinking about that.
Oh, that's amazing. Molly, have you seen what Heidi Klum does on Halloween?
Yes. That's what I'm talking about. But I want low budget.
Are incredible. Yeah. Hers are high budget, incredible. I think she was either a worm or
yes
this year.
She was this year. It was E.T. this year. Last year was the earthworm, which was uncomfortable. Can we be honest? Like the earthworm was uncomfortable.
Died laughing.
Yeah.
So good. Oh my God.
I think I'm at that point. That
okay.
It's just it's all the sillies now.
I'm sorry that you got there so quickly. You know, I'm 36 and I still like to dress up as sexy, slutty things, like slutty Power Ranger, you know?
That's so true. That's why you couldn't stand up.
That was slutty enough that you wouldn't stand up for it.
I wouldn't. I was specifically told that episode would probably get pulled down from YouTube if I stood up while wearing it. So. Oh my God!
What bourbon are you drinking? I saw you were.
I'm not drinking bourbon. I'm drinking Scotch. I'm drinking a nice Lefroy.
He's classy.
Here.
Oh, okay.
Troy, I have gummies. That's what's sticking out of my suitcase. Next question.
Medications laying out on the bed.
You guys, I gotta say, my good friend Amy Bentley is in the chat right now, and she mentioned she dressed up as me for Halloween. She is my live stream producer, so when I brought her in, she was dressed up as me. I would say a sexy me.
Okay,
like she went with sexy Bob for Halloween.
I wouldn't do sexy Patrick, but I think I would dress up as Patrick one year, like get like a fake beard.
What would that outfit look like?
Yours, if I was dressing up as you, I would get a fake beard. I would get a Texas A&M hoodie, and I wouldn't wash my hair for a few days, but then like at the end of the day, like make it like real messy. I know, but I got to get that homeless look right. So you got to get it just right.
Wow.
So I get like the mountain man beard.
For those who didn't see last week's episode, go back and look because Molly did the most horrible thing and it was absolutely hilarious and it looked awful and I loved it. So good.
That was the best part about it.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh my God, that was amazing. All right, so strong start, Molly. We kind of jumped the gun. What's your best and worst of your week?
Best of the week. My Christmas tree is up in my living room right now.
Okay.
Worst of the week. It's you know what? I'm gonna say I don't have a worst of the week this week.
You don't have a worst of the week.
No, I really don't. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I think I'm okay.
All right, fair enough. Bob, you got a best and worst of the week by chance?
Yeah, best of the week was I started my week by going on a hike with my agent and some of her clients. And we were just going on a hike and it was cold out. So I was like, I'm not even bringing a snake hook. We're going in rattlesnake territory, but I'm not going to see a snake. We found king snake and a gopher snake. And I got to teach about snakes to these people who like had no idea. They were non-snake enthusiasts that I was hiking with.
That's so cool.
It was super cool.
That was awesome.
Worst of the week is I still have some python teeth embedded in my hand.
Bob,
Patrick was just talking about that. That's crazy.
You can't see it. I have 3 teeth stuck in that I've been trying to dig out. I feel your pain, my friend.
I'm not digging mine out. I actually went to the heel of my hand because I have a paper cut there, but the teeth, I don't know if you can see, but I think they're working their way out.
Good. I hope for
Ugh.
your sake it's quick. Mine's been about a week and a half, and I last night it was just killing me, and I just went in with like needles and suture. Like I went to town, my man. I
Yeah.
was over it. So I feel you there. That is a rough worst of the week. All right. So my best of the week and worst of the week are the same thing. So we talked loosely about one of the big surprises that we're doing, and I won't spoil the guest yet because Molly doesn't want me to. But
Nope.
I had the opportunity to get interviewed for one of my favorite podcasts in the world, Criminal, which is a really popular true crime podcast. And they were doing a special animal edition, and they did it on Mega Turtle, who destroyed my bathroom. And it was a lot of fun. Like I was really excited that they reached out and got it. The bad part was it was the most awkward interview session I've ever had in my life, and I walked away from it just feeling like excited I did it, but also a little sad that it wasn't the interaction I had built up in my head, right? So it's that, bittersweet thing. They're like, don't meet your heroes. And it was kind of like, oh, I was so excited to talk to Phoebe, and I'm glad I got to, but it was so like robotic and very just like, very to business, like no conversation, just like answer questions so we can have stuff to edit for the podcast, So anyway.
Totally anticlimactic. That's a bummer.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm so happy I got the chance to do it, and I can't wait like for the episode to drop. But it was like, like you have those things in life where like it's certain things where like you bond over. Like my mom and I listen to that together. It's one of the podcasts that we just like we interact and talk about a lot with that. So when I told my mom, I was like, I get to talk and meet Phoebe, and my mom was so excited to like hear what it was like. And when I have to report back and be like, well, the conversation started with, we're not live, we're already recording, let's get started, and ended with just, okay, that's all we have for you today, bye. You're kind of like, oh, all right, so.
Wow.
But,
like,
but you know what? I'm still excited. I think
it's still going to be cool.
They do great work. They're going to make it sound fantastic, and the world gets to learn more about Mega Turtle.
That's good.
Yeah. Bob, if you're not familiar with Mega Turtle, you probably have seen the picture.
He just wants to try and be famous. This is one thing he holds on to.
It's all I have. Mega Turtle is a 150-pound sulcata tortoise that I own that was living in my house temporarily and literally ripped a toilet out of the floor and destroyed a bathroom.
Nice.
And I posted the picture on our Instagram, and the next morning it was on the front page of Reddit and had millions of likes and exploded from there. Like it just, I went from having a few hundred followers on Instagram to almost 10,000, and it became a whole thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
when did this happen?
Right around COVID, so like 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you ever get bored and just Google toilet and tortoise, it's literally the first picture that pops up.
I can't believe I haven't already Googled that.
It's such
for sure will.
When I'm bored, that's exactly what I think of. I'm like,
it is one of the most common things to Google,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's transition a little. Speaking of Google, Bob, we got to do some great Googling of your IMDb.
Good call.
Yeah.
You did some research, did you?
I am so happy. I would love to talk to you about the multiple things that I saw, starting with Hannah Montana. I grew up, like, that was my Disney era, was like Hannah Montana, like those kinds of shows. So Hannah Montana was my very favorite. I saw her in concert. Like, she was my everything. So please, I would love to talk about your experience. And what episode? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, I do. I was going to ask you if you knew the episode. There's an episode, I think, called "You Didn't Say It Was Your Birthday," and it was where it was her dad's birthday, and she and her brother had forgotten about it, and all of his friends maybe were out of town or something. So she tries to put together a birthday party. And all basically the delivery people that were delivering supplies for the party were the ones that she was trying to get to stay and invite for the thing. So as Amy just correctly said, I was the balloon delivery guy. And because I was delivering helium balloons and it's Hannah Montana, I had a permanent helium balloon voice. So, it was
I am just so happy. See, now I gotta go back and watch this because
So
It just makes my heart happy.
So when they tell you, like, all right, you're the helium guy, you got to have a permanent helium voice. Like, do they workshop that with you and you're like going through multiple helium voices and then they're like, that one right there, Bob, that's the one.
No, here's what happened. I auditioned with the voice because I can go in and go, hello, I'm the balloon guy. You know, I sort of did that. And and they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll cast him because he can do the voice. And when it came down to it on the day, on shows like that, you rehearse all week and then you shoot, you know, you rehearse like Monday through Thursday and shoot on Friday or whatever it is. And so we rehearsed the whole time with me doing the voice. And then on the day, the director was like, why don't we just get helium? Like, do you mind just hitting helium? And I was like, sure, we can do that. So, so Miley thought that was really fun. And in between takes, when they were moving cameras and stuff, Miley and I sat on the couch on that set singing songs in helium voice. So that's one of my biggest claim to fames. Like, I feel like I've done a lot of cool stuff, but sitting on a couch singing songs with Miley Cyrus in helium voice.
Buddy,
I just could not express to
I'm going to tell you right now, I would murder Molly to have that experience.
Wait, hold on.
No, I'm sorry, Molly. I would literally murder you to be able to sit on a couch with Miley and sing any song in helium.
It was pretty great. And she, you know, she was a child at that time. You know, this was, I don't know what season it was, but she was a kid. Yeah, but super mature and just the sweetest kid. It was great. It was fun. I had a good time on that set.
So it was a little more past my time, but going off of more Disney, Good Luck Charlie. We also, it said you were in an episode of that.
Mm-hmm,
was that also a great experience? How was that one?
That was shorter. Still, it was the same thing. Still, you rehearse all week and shoot, but that was really, I was just a dad of one of the kids, and I came to pick up the kid. Like, it was a quick, it was just a quick thing. I don't even remember if I had anything funny to do in it. But you were like in the Disney background, Jesse. That's another Disney one. Yeah. My Jesse episode is, a lot of people recognize me from that. I had a pretty good role there. I did a lot of those because as soon as I did Hannah Montana, this is how this works. Is as soon as I did Hannah Montana, casting directors would see that on my resume and they would go, "Okay, this guy understands that it's a live action cartoon, and he can do that without going too far. He can be big enough as a live action cartoon without going too far." And so you start getting offers to audition for other shows. Were there any Disney offers you got and you did not take? No. I mean, they don't just offer it. They bring. What I meant by offers, they bring you in to audition. Yeah. But I'll take anything I can get. I mean, I've done a ton of stuff that I hate, but it's work. You know, like I'm not. You know, I'm not a famous actor that can decide, oh, I'm not going to take that role. You know, Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. No, not touching that show. A lot. I never booked it, but I auditioned probably 10 times for that show. They kept bringing me back, but I never got anything. Oh, yeah. But Hannah Montana, that was my like all-time favorite Disney show. That was the one. And then Patrick was talking to you when I joined behind the scenes, Parks and Rec.
We got it. Hold on. We got to get Parks and Rec a second. My mom specifically wanted to be around for that part of the conversation, and she just texted me to say, "Hold on." So we got to talk about other stuff. Right, because your mom's a big fan of Parks and Rec, huh?
Laura, come on.
My mom absolutely loves Parks and Rec, and then it's like, because I think for her, she likes The Office, right? And it's great, but there's like a lot of cringe to it. And I feel like Parks and Rec is The Office with slightly less cringe, right? And it is. And then the characters, right? Like you take like Gary, and we'll get Gary is like Kevin, but more lovable and actually like likable, right? Because I think Kevin in The Office, we're almost built to like dislike Kevin, even though he's like the lovable loser. Like
Kevin.
Yeah, I think.
Here's what happened, I think, with this is the original Office. I don't know if you saw the original Office, the British version.
Yes, yeah.
I love it so much, but it is hard to watch. It's so hard. Cringe. But that's British humor, right? So when the US decided we're going to do our own version, they took that out. They went, okay, we're going to make it a little bit Americanized, so it's a little bit less cringy, but it still had those elements. And then those guys went, all right, we're going to do Parks and Rec. And it's just going to be American humor. We're going to take the cringe out.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're
I'm based in Indiana, so shout out.
No, I think that's the worst part of it. That's so bad. All right, she said she's logging on now, so we're good. We can now talk about Parks and Rec and the fact that Bob not only was on Parks and Rec, which once again, I might murder Molly for. Sorry, Molly, it's just gonna be a rough night for you.
I don't know why I keep having to die. Why
It's
me?
just the
Choose
way it
somebody
is.
else.
I can't.
Troy,
it's you.
Chase, somebody else.
Anyone. Okay, fine. Chase. Bob was in one of the best episodes of Parks and Rec. Legitimately. I don't just say that.
It's a pretty good episode.
Yeah, 94 meetings is so spectacular because I think it like so embodies the beginning of Parks and Rec in this.
So here's one of my favorite stories about that, about booking that show. So I used to do, this was years ago. I mean, that episode came out years ago, but I used to have a thing in my house where other actors would show up and we would do, it was basically an acting class without a teacher. We would have scenes, sides, parts of scripts that we would read as though it's an audition, and we would get feedback from the group, and we did it every week. And of the group, I was at the time the actor that was working the most, but probably our best actor in the group, in my opinion, was this girl, Tara, who was a good friend of mine and still is, but she wasn't getting work. And I was like, how is Tara not getting work? She's incredible. She's so funny. And so when I booked Parks and Rec, they send you a packet with your sides and the breakdown of who's on the show and stuff like that. And I saw Tara's name on the show. So
awesome.
She booked the same episode. It was her first, I think it was her first gig in Hollywood that she booked, was that episode of Parks and Rec. And she's in the scene right before it cuts to my scene. So she's the one.
Awesome.
You remember, she's the one talking to Andy about disc golf. And Andy wants to.
How do I join the league?
Yeah. How do I join the league? Yeah. So that's Tara. And then it cuts to my scene. So I was so happy that she got a gig. Somebody finally realized that she's really good. And then we were in the same episode and we were in back-to-back scenes. It was really cool.
Oh, buddy, that is so cool. So
see, I'm an office person, so.
Oh, no, you know what? Get out of here.
Not a Parks and Rec person. I'm an office person.
Unbelievable. So in your scene, you got to interact. There's some office crossover here, Molly, because he gets to interact with Rashida Jones.
Mm-hmm.
So what was that
Which is
like?
One of the worst characters, but in The Office, but great in Parks and Rec, but not great in The Office.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of The Office too. Yeah, so my actually shooting that, this was what was kind of the bummer about that, is usually when I book a show, I mean, it was great with Rashida, but usually when I book a show, I'm working multiple days, especially a sitcom where you're in front of a live audience. Like I said, you rehearse all week and then shoot one day. A sitcom like this, where it's like a single camera thing, you don't have that live audience, so you can just shoot parts of it each day, whatever. But I'm usually still there for the entire day. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Mm-hmm. So I was given my call time. I show up at the studio. They take me to my trailer. I get into my clothes and go into makeup really quick. And then I go to set. And what I found out is the only thing they were shooting that day was Rashida and I's scene. So none of the other actors were there. Nothing else. Like, I was all excited to meet everybody else.
Yeah.
I thought what was going to happen. And that was it. And it took, they nailed it. We did like 5 or 6 takes. And then they were like, okay, thanks very much. And so I was on set. I mean, I wandered around the set and sat in everybody's chair, did the thing before I left, but I was probably there for 3 hours tops.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
One of the quickest shoots that I've ever done. And it was such a bummer because I wanted to hang out and be there all day. And,
Yeah.
I love Aubrey Plaza. I would have been sad to not meet her. I do love her.
Mm-hmm. She's great.
But Rashida Jones is good. Mm-hmm. Me saying like I'll just take her. Like, I'll take Rashida Jones. Like,
just the nicest person too. Like, she was lovely. She was delightful.
Oh, I love to hear that.
Really fun.
No, that is cool. That's so
my
good.
heart breaks when I hear that some celebrities are just not very nice, and it really I'm like, oh, are you for real right now? I've lately heard about Adam Sandler that he's not a great guy to meet, and I'm like,
Oh,
That
I
really
would not
sucks.
believe that at all, Molly. Don't believe that at all. He's one of the nicest guys in Hollywood. I don't know where you
Really?
heard that he's not
Maybe
nice.
he didn't. Maybe he was not having a good day. I don't
He
know. It
was
was somebody who like works in LA. Like they were. It was just TikTok, like
see,
normal stuff.
here's the problem. Somebody, when somebody meets a celebrity, they have a story that they're going to tell their entire life. So if somebody meets Adam and he's in a bad mood for some reason, or he's just not super nice to them, maybe he just brushes them off a bit, they're gonna the rest of their life be like, Adam Sandler's a dick.
Yeah.
But he's not. He's
not.
He's a human. But he is no, and I have met Adam a couple times. I've been to his birthday party.
Whoa,
I'll tell you that story. That was crazy.
Yeah, we're gonna circle back to that, buddy.
So Adam Sandler is a very nice guy, and he's known throughout Hollywood for being like the sweetest guy. He really is.
That makes me so happy because I was genuinely disappointed to hear that. But I also know in my head, like some of these people also are like not that great. Like some of these people when they meet a celebrity, like they're gonna be awful to them. So like why would anybody be nice to them? You know? So like I do take those stories with a grain of salt, but at the same time in my head I'm like, oh, but I dress like Adam Sandler most of the time, so I feel like I really see myself with him. I relate to him.
No, that's true. So okay, we gotta circle back. How do you get invited to the Adam Sandler birthday party to start? And then what was that like?
Okay, so first of all, let me just say that I'm not a Hollywood guy, and I know I'm telling Hollywood stories now, but I don't have a ton of them, and I'm kind of not. I don't feel like I'm in that thing. But through doing stand-up comedy, I met Nick Swardson and became friends with Nick. Do you know who Nick Swardson is?
Oh yeah,
very much so.
Very much so.
So you know how Nick does the character on Reno 911 of Terry?
Oh yes, the roller skates.
So, which is one of my favorite things that Nick does. It's so funny. Nick wrote that character and came up with that character because he is obsessed with roller skating. He freaking loves it. And
Buddy, that's amazing.
So what he was doing, I don't know if he still does, is he would every year for Adam's birthday party, he would rent out a roller rink and throw a party. Because he and Adam are good friends. He writes on a lot of those movies and stuff. Yeah. So he just invited me to the roller rink for Adam's party one year. And I get there and like David Spade's there and guys that I can't even now names are leaving me. But so old that
the crew
guys are there. Yeah. And it was incredible. I tried to I sort of hung back and didn't mingle a ton just because I didn't want to seem like a jerk, but I went and said hi to Adam and happy birthday and whatever. And I've seen him at the comedy club before, and I've just said hi to him. Like we've never had a long chat or anything, but he's always been very friendly and nice,
I love that so much. That's fantastic, buddy. That is
that is the best story. I needed that story. Honestly.
Could you? I'm gonna be honest though, like a roller skating birthday party with Adam Sandler. I didn't have that on my bingo card for tonight.
I need
that. Makes me happy.
Yeah.
I want to wear a double XL t-shirt, giant basketball shorts, and just be ready to roller skate with Adam Sandler.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I don't even know. I don't remember seeing Adam actually roller skating. I don't even know if Adam enjoys roller skating. I just think it's funny that Nick loves roller skating so much that for Adam's birthday party, the roller rink gets rented out.
But I think that also probably speaks to like the friendship too, right? Like how great is that? That even if Adam doesn't love roller skating, he knows how much Nick loves it. And he's like, you know what, Nick, I'm going to let you have this one. Like that's so good.
Yeah. Right.
Oh my God. That's amazing. All right. So let's transition loosely. Reptiles obviously play a big part of your life at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, shocking. Have they always been in your life, or is that something that you've transitioned more like in adulthood?
No, since I was a kid, I was catching them and keeping them and learning everything I possibly could about them. I just have been fascinated my whole life with reptiles, and it was mostly lizards when I was a kid, like and in through high school and stuff. I mostly had lizards. I had a snake here and there, but I was mostly a lizard guy. And then I became a snake guy because I travel so much. And especially when I started this, I was traveling a lot, doing comedy shows and stuff. and I could, lizards need to eat every day. So,
right.
So the only pet that I could have is snakes. And so that's what I've got now is a bunch of snakes.
It's funny. It's funny because I was similar to you. Growing up, I loved lizards, and I still love lizards and monitors and all that. They're just a lot more effort, right? Significantly more effort.
Mm-hmm.
And the snakes make it easier. It's once a week for feeding generally, maybe, a little bit more occasionally, but so.
Or less occasionally, depending on whether you're in breeding season or not, or whatever,
Right.
Or the species that you have,
yeah, absolutely. No,
I've
you're
got
right.
Paula that when he gets to size, he'll be eating once a month, probably,
Yeah, no, it's funny how that works. And the snakes, I don't know if all reptile people, I know there are people that just, absolutely love snakes and stuff like that, but it's like the animals that I feel like we were all drawn to and the most curious of, with lizards and things like that, they're just so much more effort. And it really is hard trying to be an adult and have lizards. It's tough.
To be an adult and have lizards.
Yeah.
You got to be an adult sometimes.
I tell you what, if I eventually I'm not going to travel as much probably, and I will start getting I'll have lizards at that point because I do miss having them. I love working with their brains.
Yeah.
And but we'll see.
Yeah, I love that. So you've had the reptiles through the entire adult life at this point then. So it's just been the whole life of having them as pets.
Yeah, I mean, I went about a 10-year period where I had nothing. I think before the snakes, the last thing I had was a couple of bearded dragons. And then I went about 10 years where I was touring a lot and just didn't have any animals. I was just in and out of Los Angeles and such. And then I started again with ball pythons. I got some ball pythons, and now I have, I think, 7 different species.
Okay. Yeah. As you should start with ball pythons. They're clearly the superior snake species. So
have you always wanted to do acting, or was that something that just kind of came about? How did you kind of get into that?
Yeah. I mean, I think I always wanted to do that, but I started when I was in my early 20s, when I was really young. I started doing open mics and doing stand-up comedy. And
nice.
That I think the week that I did my first open mic, I took my first acting class. And then I was in Seattle. And then I would get commercials in Seattle, and independent films would come to town, and I might do a small role on an independent film or whatever. And then it got to the point where it was clear that I needed to move to LA if I was going to get this kind of work. I didn't really want to be a road comic. I didn't want to be one of those guys who's constantly on the road. And I did that for a little bit and just I didn't like it. I love being on stage and I love doing the shows, but everything you have to do to get to that point of doing your half hour, 45 minutes on a stage is a lot. And it's tough. It's tough life. So, yeah.
And you do a lot of Ren Fair stuff as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's what I do now instead of comedy clubs.
Okay. So did you watch the Ren Fair documentary on HBO? No,
because you know why?
Why?
I know that I've performed at that festival a lot, and I know how the festival really is. I also don't like reality shows. I should watch it.
Honestly, I got bored with it. I gotta be honest. I got through half of the first episode, and I was like, okay, he's just a weird old man. Newsflash, I don't know.
Hold on.
I don't know. I couldn't watch that.
You can't besmirch the episode, Molly. I'm trying to get Jeff from Ren Fair on the podcast.
Bob, I just wouldn't waste your time. I just wouldn't sink the time, is what I'm saying.
It's yeah, I mean, maybe I'll watch it. I considered watching it, but I know that fair really well. I have my own stories and my own, I've had great times at that particular festival, the Texas Ren Fair. I don't perform at it anymore, but I had some great seasons there. And I just know how I've worked as a producer on a reality show before. I know how they work, and I know that, it's not really reality. And
hold on, Bob. You're going to sit here and tell me that reality TV is not real? Bob,
my life is a lie.
Yeah, you're just blowing my mind right now.
I would say that some of it is sometimes.
Sometimes, every once in a while.
Well, I was hired. I was hired on a show to be a story producer, and story producer. That people go, "Ooh, you're a producer," but story producer is exactly that. You are producing the story. You're writing the show. It's like they can't call you a writer because then it's not a reality show, right? So they call you a story producer, and yeah.
I love the semantics there. No, you're not a writer. You're a producer. Okay, so what am I producing? Well, you're gonna sit down and write the storyline. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I love that so
They
much.
basically they hired me to make sure that it was funny, to do storylines, but then make sure that it was going to be funny. Make sure that the people that were talking to the camera were given funny lines and such like that. So a lot of it was like coaching them on how to say their lines naturally and say it funny or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Does this mean that your twin brother Kent isn't real too?
No, of course he's real, Ryan. Jeez. You've seen him so many times. Of course he's real.
Oh
if he
my
wasn't
god.
real, you wouldn't see him on camera. Like,
that's how that works.
That's
accurate.
true.
Come on, let's have some logic.
Take that,
here.
Ryan.
Gosh, Ryan, you idiot. God, roasted.
So Bob, just for some people that, obviously if they don't watch you or like know what all you have, like what all species do you have?
Yeah, so I have a bunch of ball pythons. I have some super dwarf reticulated pythons, both of whom are out right now, actually. So one
just free range.
Out, but yeah. I mean, they'll go back in their cage soon. This one the door is open. She's just sitting outside the door right now.
Okay.
And I have one. Oh, she's right there. You can't see her, but she's in. So there's a hide, right? No, right there.
There. Okay.
I mean, my finger is on her face right now. So if you can see any little bit of brown, her face is right there. So she's been sitting in that hide for a few hours. This was weird. She was shedding. I caught her shedding. And so I rolled camera on it because I'm going to make a little short about shed. And it took her like 5 minutes. She did it so fast, got it all off.
Wow.
And I had the door open. And usually snakes will shed and then they go into their hide for like a day. They don't want to be messed with. So I was just waiting for her to go back in her hide. But what she did is she came out, she crawled up and went into that hide and curled up in that hide, which I think is interesting. So she still wants a hide, but she didn't want to be in her cage. So
she
didn't want that hide though.
Yeah.
She wanted to have a little bit of freedom.
Right.
But still feel secure.
Yeah.
As we all do.
So I have those two. I have a couple of black-headed pythons. That's Maya right there. I don't know if you can see her, but she's out and moving around. A couple black-headed pythons. I got a pygmy python, little tiny. She's the size of a worm. Pygmy python.
I love it.
Cute.
I've got here. I'll show you the pygmy if you want to see her. She's within reaching distance.
I love this show and tell. This is good.
And I have a boa.
I feel like we're like the elementary kids at school, Patrick, like waiting for the reptile guy to do his show. We're like, yeah, pull out the snakes.
Yeah, right. So here's little Pip. This is my pygmy python.
So cute.
She is over a year old. So she's not full grown, but she's all of 30 grams.
She's a hoss.
Yeah.
She's a hoss.
Super smart. She's target trained really well. Like she does target training perfectly.
Interesting. Okay.
And she's never shown fear or defensiveness or anything. Like she doesn't know that she's tiny.
That's adorable.
She thinks she's large and in charge. And
yeah,
good
she
for
does.
her, as she should.
Yeah.
As all women should feel.
That sounds a lot like Molly. Tiny, but thinks she's large and in charge.
Right?
Thank you for saying I'm tiny. I needed to hear that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm okay.
Molly, it sounds like a pygmy python might be your spirit animal.
I think so.
I can.
I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that.
Also, it kind of makes sense because I don't really like pygmy pythons, so that also checks out. I'm just kidding.
And we're back to tomorrow might be the last day. I don't know.
Look, there is just an endless amount of roasting that gets to happen after last week, Molly. I'm sorry.
Hey,
It's
my
pretty great.
entertainment and joy. That's fine.
Jen at High Vis Pythons is saying Pip is the Chihuahua of snakes. I would agree with that only in size, but she's never tried to bite or bark. She's
Not
never
feisty.
she's never made tons of noise and annoyed the heck out of me with her barking, and she's never attacked me with her mouth. So
Chihuahua, why is it that like Chihuahuas just like, I don't know. It feels like Chihuahuas are like destined to live until they're like 48 years old.
This joke is funnier if Chase was here. I'm sorry, guys.
Yep.
why does he have one?
No, Justin and them have started. They're starting to do some target training with ball pythons.
Oh, it works.
So-
I've target trained ball pythons, and it works.
Yeah.
I don't use it with them because I don't need to really target training, except for Pip. Target training for me is a food cue for snakes that are highly food motivated. With Pip, I do it with her because she's so good at it, and I wanted to see what that little brain could do. And as it turns out, a lot.
That happened when I went to college. Just had to see what this little brain could do.
I just received a text from my mother. She says, if he's calling that the size of an earthworm, what does he fish with?
I mean,
so true, Laura. Laura keeps it real.
That's
Keep
a
him
big
in check,
earthworm
Laura.
there, Bob. That's fair. That's fair.
Has she ever seen a night crawler? The worms that I fish with, when I go fishing, I'm using night crawlers, and they're bigger than that snake. A night crawler is
big bait to catch a big fish.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love it so much.
I think that's my favorite. I gotta say, the pygmy. That's your favorite. It is my spirit animal. I'm gonna say it.
I like a pygmy python. I wanted to work with Antaresia, children's python, spotted, Stimsons.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna get a small snake, I thought, why not just get this absolute smallest? And so
if you're going small, you might just go. You got to go the smallest, right?
Yeah, I mean, she probably will not reach 2 feet. She'll max out about 18 inches, and that wouldn't be my first snake, because usually when you want a python, you want a python, right? Something with a little bit of size. But we already have a bunch of sort of sizable snakes. A little tiny one is pretty cool. Pretty interesting.
No, it is really cool.
Big things come in small packages.
That's true. I have the hog noses because they're a nice little change of pace from the pythons, right? From the ball pythons.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of personality there, right? Just a whole lot going on. So I get the wanting something a little smaller, a little, a change of pace from everything else.
Do you want to keep expanding with the ball pythons, or you want to try and start adding like more species? What would be next?
I mean, I like working with different species, but I do breed ball pythons, and I have some projects that I'll have to continue keeping holdbacks. But I don't want to be. I'm not trying to be a big breeder. I'm not. I have a total of like 30 snakes, and 20 something of them are ball pythons. And I don't want to have a million clutches. I'm not trying to have a million snakes. So I want to keep it to where I can, where I know my snakes and I know their behavior and I know their personalities. I have many of my ball pythons free roam. So many of them don't.
Okay.
But I have some that know that it's safe in the room, and if I wake up in the morning and they're at the front of their tub, I open it and they can choose to come out if they want, and then they can go. There's hides scattered all over the room. They can cruise around. The room is safe for them. They can cruise around, do whatever, and they usually do that for a little bit, and then they find a hide and curl up.
I love that so much.
Do what they do best. Be a pet rock.
That's it.
But you know what though, Molly? When you work with them like this, they're really not. Like I do have some that will stay in a hide most of the time, and I let them do that. I'm not like pulling them out to make them hang out with me. So there are a number of them that do that, but of my snakes, especially the ones that free roam, they all have their own personalities and they have different things that they prefer, and you get to see that. Now, I realize that most people aren't in a situation where they can just free roam their animals, but I definitely see different personalities in my ball pythons.
That's what I did to Patrick too. I was like, "You're gonna hang out with me. We're gonna be friends."
Buddy, let me tell you, look what happened.
Yeah.
You know what? Our Instagram is going to really appreciate though, Bob, you coming in and not letting us call them pet rocks. I called them a pet rock probably a month ago, and we got so many comments and DMs about how they're not pet rocks and we're terrible people for saying that. And so because they said that, I have now called them that every episode as a mature adult.
Because what you're not going to do is tell Chase, I said Chase because I was looking at the comments. You're not going to tell Patrick what to do because he will do the opposite.
Yeah. So I'm Instagram and YouTube Shorts. They're going to really appreciate you coming to the ball python defense.
Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, this is my experience, right? And I feel like a lot of people have the first of all, really big breeders. I always say that if I had 500 snakes, if I had 100 plus snakes, I would not be able to get to know them, because it's just about keeping them healthy, right? And that's fine. These snakes don't need to get to know me. They don't crave hanging out with me or anything. But because I have a small number of them, I can work with them and get them tolerant of me, right? And once they're tolerant of me, then I can start working with them and getting to know their personalities. So I feel like big breeders aren't getting to know those snakes, and that's okay because they're keeping them healthy and everything. And then somebody that might have one ball python, there's a good chance that they're going to have a shy ball python that just stays in their hide the whole time. There's also a good chance that maybe they don't know how to work with their snake, so their snake stays in that hide all the time. And so a ball python would get that reputation of being a pet rock because of those people's experiences.
Sure, that makes sense.
But I'm working with my snakes enough to where I can determine that ball pythons actually do things and they have personalities. And I also will admit that not all of them will do stuff necessarily. They're all well socialized. None of them care if I take them out and hang out with them, but they don't necessarily offer to come out. Whereas my other species, do, they do want to come out and they do kind of need to get a little bit more exercise and roam around.
This is clearly the question of the night. How often do they mess outside of the enclosure?
That's a good question. So I get this question a lot when I post. I'll post a compilation video of a bunch of snakes that are free roaming, and I'll put it up on Instagram where non-snake people are going to see it. And the way it's cut, I think to them, they assume that it's all in one day, that I have 20 snakes out all at the same time. But so they go ballistic. And the main question is how much poop is everywhere. But we have to remember that reptiles don't have the metabolism, especially snakes don't have the metabolism of a goat. They would be pooping everywhere, right? A ball python poops about between 4 and 6 weeks. Maybe if you're pounding them with food for breeding season, they'll poop more often, but they're also not free roaming during breeding season for me. I will say this though, black-headed pythons have a much faster metabolism. They get fed a lot
those
more.
Things are just going all over the place.
Yeah. So they get fed a lot more often. I feed my black-headed pythons twice a week. They get small meals twice a week, and they metabolize them quickly. So Maya, who I think it's important for her to free roam as much as possible, because in the Australian outback, she would be traveling. They're active hunters. They're not ambush hunters like everybody else. They're traveling up to a mile a day looking for reptiles, and they're good at finding them and catching them. So they're eating often. So I want her to roam around the room, and only when the other snakes are back in their enclosures. But the problem is she waits until she's out to poop. So I follow her. I've got a hardwood floor situation, so it makes it easier. I do have a big carpet, and she has yet to poop on the carpet, which
good.
I've got carpet cleaner, but I do follow her around because I would say 50% of the time that she's out, she'll poop or pee.
Oh my God.
I'm either going to clean it up off my floor or clean it up out of the cage. I keep everything really clean, and I have disinfectant. So I just watch her,
Worth it.
We have another question via text from my mother because she can't do Google comments apparently. I don't know. She wants to know, how do you tell them apart? And she really loves the idea that you free roam your snakes instead of keeping them in tubs like I do, which is hurtful.
I do keep my ball pythons in tubs. They're all but one are in tubs. And they're very comfortable in those tubs, and the ones who want to come out of their tub get to. So that's what I'll say about that. But how do I tell them apart? They look different.
Yeah,
And
that's. I mean,
I
yeah.
just can visually tell them apart.
Mom, how do you tell your children apart? We look different.
Yeah. Well, Patrick, the short answer is she doesn't like you and you suck.
Well,
She doesn't need to know how you look. But she doesn't like you.
wow.
I will say that my ball pythons, obviously I have a ton of different morphs and everybody
Yeah.
is different, but I have two normal super dwarf reticulated pythons, and they were hard to tell apart, especially from a distance for a while.
Okay.
But as they've grown, one has become more golden and the other has become more gray. So
Gotcha.
they look very different now. They're beautiful.
My mom says she
Tracy,
still doesn't get her children's names right. So she's impressed that you can tell the difference between the snakes.
There you go. There you go.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks.
Yeah, so Tracy asked if you've ever worked with Angolan pythons.
Yeah, Tracy, I haven't. I mean, I've held Angolan pythons. I've never kept one. I love them. I think they're absolutely beautiful. And I think they're interesting because they look just like a ball python, right? But they get bigger and they're more active than a ball python. Yeah. So in some respects, they might be a better pet for some people. You know, if you're looking for a more active snake that's kind of like a ball python, but they're going to get bigger.
I love it. So one thing I know a lot of people brought up when we mentioned we were having you on was your YouTube channel. You got a fairly significant one at this point. What drove you to start the YouTube channel and like get it going?
There was a disease that came out a while back. I don't know if you remember. It's called COVID. It was like a pandemic thing.
I'm not familiar, but that's
yeah.
Okay.
Could you walk me through
You've probably
that?
forgotten
Yeah.
already. No, I had been wanting to start I had started YouTube channels before that I didn't really like, comedy based YouTube channels that I didn't really commit to, you know, and I had been wanting to start another one. It was kind of in the back of my mind, but I was touring a lot, doing these festivals. And so I didn't really have time to do that. I also wanted to start breeding snakes, but I was touring a lot and I didn't have time to get the setup and everything. So as soon as COVID hit and the shutdown happened, all my gigs canceled. And all of a sudden I was home for an extended period of time. Yeah. And I was like, well, we'll start this YouTube channel and I'll try to learn how to breed snakes. And for people that watch my YouTube channel, they know that I don't talk about breeding very much. I occasionally will do a video that explains genetics, something like that. Yeah. I'll sometimes do a video that'll explain a clutch that I just had that was rough or whatever, but I don't do any, like, here's how you breed ball pythons. Right. Because I'm still new at it. You know, I'm only a few seasons in and I don't breed a ton of clutches a year, you know, so I don't want to be the guy that teaches that. But I think for my channel, the care and behavior, stuff like that for people that are, I have a lot of, I think, breeders that watch the channel, but smaller breeders, pet keepers, stuff like that, people that are just interested. I also have a lot of people that are afraid of snakes that watch the channel because they think it's and I have a series that helps people get over their fear of snakes, where I bring somebody in that's scared of snakes and I get them over their fear. So
I love that. I have found, like, with Instagram content and stuff like that, it is a lot of people that are scared of them, but they're fascinated by how they look, right, or how they act. And it's kind of their way to interact with the animal without actually having to interact with it, if that makes sense. So I love that, man. I think that's really, really, really cool.
Well, while we have just a few minutes too, I want to ask if you want to talk about it. What projects are you working on with the ball pythons and breeding?
Yeah, so I have I don't have a ton of ball pythons at 20 something, like I said, but within that I have a ton of projects. I have more projects than I should for the amount of snakes that I have. So I've got a lot of multiple recessive stuff. I'm nothing that's cutting edge, nothing like what I saw at Canova, but clown, pied, VPI, Ultramel. I've got a bunch of freeway stuff, things like that. So I'm trying to mix in I'm working on clown pied axanthic, clown pied Ultramel, and then separately freeway combos.
Buddy,
and I think that's go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you're gonna end up with a few more than 20 animals if you're working triple recessive projects.
I know.
It's coming, Bob. It's coming.
I'm not sure what I'm gonna do, but we'll see.
I do think that is kind of the beauty with the ball python market, though, is there's still like there's always going to be people who do want, like, it's not the cutting edge thing, right? But there are people, like, there's still a market for it. Like it's there's always going to be a market for these animals, even if you're not making like a bunch of money off of them. There's still people who are looking for them and want to buy them. I think that's also kind of the beauty of it.
There's, my snakes. One of the perks of my Patreon is that if someone wants to buy a snake from me, they can if they're on my Patreon, and I don't sell to anybody outside Patreon. And a lot of those people are pet keepers, and a lot of them are breeders. So if I have a high end snake that I'm not going to keep for myself, there's always a breeder on my Patreon that'll
take it.
And and for the lower end stuff, like, I'm really excited. I've got a clutch in a few days that hopefully that will be laid by one of my favorite snakes. She's just a pinstripe, and she's the best. But she's a pinstripe, and she was bred to a banana super inchy orange dream firefly. So there's a bunch of genes that'll get into that pinstripe, but it'll all be less expensive, great animals as pets.
Yeah, just pet stuff. Yeah.
The cutting edge breeder isn't going to be interested in, but a lot of my people who are looking for a pet for pretty inexpensive.
But I mean, even like pet stuff, like people who are wanting pets, or even people who are just getting into it. I think again, that's kind of the beauty of it. There's so many projects that you can work on now, that there's all these building blocks and like smaller, lower end snakes that people will buy and that they can, build upon in whatever project that they decide that, even if they're just interested in just having that project, they don't feel like they want to be like a business breeder or do any of that. But if they're interested in breeding a little bit, they can do these kind of lower end things. So it's still, I mean, it's always a good thing to have in the market and in the space. For sure.
Jen just made a good point. She's saying Bob is sponsored by RGI, making triples and a little less space consuming. Yeah,
it does. Yeah, the genetic testing component has definitely helped all of us. So
for sure. Yeah, I'll be separating babies and sending those first sheds into RGI.
Yeah,
determining which one snake or two snakes I'm keeping rather than keeping the whole bunch.
Yeah, I love it, bud. I absolutely love it. All right, so we are meandering towards the last couple of minutes. Is there anything specific you wanna let the world know? What do they need to know about Bob that we haven't covered yet?
Oh my gosh, we've covered a lot of stuff. We're so green room pythons this year. Hopefully, I'm doing. I did some trips to the Amazon last year, and I did a couple trips, and those were super fun. I'm hoping to do some more travel stuff and get into some other country or other part of the world to find snakes in the wild. That'll be fun, and that's it.
That's enough. That's enough.
I went live on TikTok for the first time last week to see what's happening, and that went well.
That was all about. Yeah,
that was fun.
Okay.
It was I do a live stream on YouTube once a month, and that's always planned. I do a Q&A. I have a good amount of people that show up, and we have fun, and they know what to expect. A TikTok live is different because you got people that are there for me, but then a ton of people that are just randomly scrolling, and they're in and out and in and out.
Yeah.
So it was weird, but I might do those more often. So if people follow me on TikTok, I occasionally post stuff on TikTok. I don't do a lot there, but I might do those lives for a little while.
I think it can be lucrative. Yeah, I mean, doing them every once in a while at least. I think TikTok lives are very lucrative because there's a lot of just like random pages that like around For You pages that your live will show up on, and then people just decide to give you roses or give you money, just like donate. Like, I mean, it is. I mean, it's.
Molly, I'm gonna share some numbers with you. Don't tell anybody else. I'll share how lucrative it was. At the end of the live, they said that there was 10,500 people that showed up total over a course of a couple hours. But average, it was like 200 to 300 people average that were watching at the time, right? I got 1,500 diamonds. Don't know what any of that means. I have no idea what that is. But there's a place where you can see what that translates to in dollars. It was $7.30.
Whoa.
So
$3 an hour. Well done, Bob.
Big rolling.
Yeah.
Big rolling.
So, I don't know. I think it is lucrative for some people.
Yeah.
I don't know that I don't really, I'm not doing it for the money for TikTok.
Yeah.
The reason to do it is to find these people who are just finding me and going, oh, hey, I have a YouTube channel. I just want to bring people to the YouTube channel.
And that in itself is like, that is the incentive. Like that is lucrative. Like that's the incentive too. Like that's what's lucrative is getting getting that engagement and getting those people to your YouTube.
But also it's less formal.
Great tool.
It's less formal too. Like I could go live on TikTok and clean snake cages.
Yeah.
And chat.
Right.
Versus my YouTube live, I'm sitting right here and we're talking, we're doing it, I'm showing off snakes, stuff like that. So
yeah, people don't care what's going on TikTok lives. They'll still sit there and watch. At least like 20 of them will.
I think part of the TikTok lives and Instagram lives when we've done them, it's almost like people going to a zoo and like watching humans as the exhibit, to be honest. Like I think they just want to watch people do things. So it makes sense. All right, guys, we're at the end. Bob, thank you for hanging out with us.
Yes.
Thank you. That was super fun.
How hesitant were you to join us after watching last week's episode? Be honest.
I really enjoyed last week's episode. It was really funny. I liked it a lot.
Thank you, Bob.
There was even a point, Patrick, that you said, I hope Bob doesn't watch this episode because he might not appreciate it. I was like, what are you talking about? I absolutely appreciate it.
Oh my God. I love it so much. It's like those moments where like not everybody gets the humor. And like some people I think just take stuff too serious. And it's like, we were just having fun, right? Like that's what this is.
You gotta be a little weird sometimes. You gotta be a little weird and silly.
You do, right?
It was great.
Come on.
Let loose.
I love it. Molly, how can people get a hold of you?
No. Just go to Canova. All the good Canova socials.
Go to Canova. Bob, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you or see your content?
Green Room Pythons on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok.
Love it. Guys, Aura Reptiles everywhere. Please go like, subscribe. You know the gig. If you haven't already liked and subscribed this video on our channel, please do. Make sure to go give Bob a follow. Bob, I'm going to hit the outro here in a second. If you'll stick around, we'll see you in a moment.
Yeah.
Everybody else, we love you. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're at the St. Louis NARBC, I'm going to be there all day tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. Come say hi and hang out and get pictures and all that good stuff. Adeline Robinson and her husband will be on next week. So we look forward to hanging out with them. Thank you guys so much. We love y'all. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.